pencil when we do our readers notebooks. You could do your work on that, okay? So no worries. And the same thing for math. When we do our math and you have a math, it's time for a math journal page, just have a piece of paper and pencil handy and you'll be good to go, okay? Okay, so today we're going to go through our vocabulary for teachers' pets before we read the story. So I'll go through them in order today since it's only the second read that we have. You can look at them in your book or you can look at them up on the screen. Our first word is wonderful. And it says pets are wonderful. They make very good friends. If something is wonderful, it means it's very good, awesome, great, fantastic, terrific. Any of those words can mean wonderful. Yes, Lonnie?
Like they can help me laugh.
Right, but something that's wonderful means it's very good, okay?
Like you love them.
Yes, you could love them, and it could be wonderful, but you don't have to love them. It could still be something that's wonderful and not have to be loved.
Dad, Logan said that he loves my cat, Dad.
Okay.
My brain because it has a pink wings.
Fantastic.
And she has beautiful hair.
Okay, awesome sauce. All right, our next vocabulary word is noises. Number 2 in your book. It says big dogs bark loudly. Small dogs do not make such loud noises. Noises are sounds. Okay, that's all you need to remember about noises. Noises are sounds. It can be loud, it can be soft, it can be high-pitched, it can be low-pitched. All you have to remember is that they are sounds. Lonnie, do you have a question?
Like bark, like bark, bark.
Like a dog barking. Yep.
And the little dogs like bark, bark, bark.
Right.
And the noises are like.
Those are all different kinds of noises, right? All right, quiet is another vocabulary word. Number 3 in your book on page 143. A lizard is a very quiet pet. It does not make a sound. So if something is quiet, it makes very, 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 very little sound or no sound. And then we have the word sprinkled. The fish food was lightly sprinkled on top of the water. So the boy was sprinkling some fish food. If you sprinkle something, think of sprinkles on your cupcake or sprinkles on your ice cream or sprinkles on something, anything. It's little tiny pieces. You're taking little tiny pieces and putting it on top of something else. Lonnie?
Like, let me say about, like, quiet, like, sprinkles.
Yeah.
Sprinkles, like, when Zing or Angelina, like, sprinkles, like, fairy dust on everybody's head.
Or fairy dust, right? Little tiny pieces of something.
Yeah, it's a sprinkle to help their brains get big and strong and flies like that, like,
If fairy dust was real, that might happen, yes. Okay.
that.
And then we have the word share. It says take pictures of your pets to share with your friends. If you share something, that means that you show it to somebody else, like maybe like a show and tell. You share it by showing everybody what it looks like. Or it means you're letting other people borrow it for a little while and then you can use it and then give it back. Like maybe you would share your glue stick. That means you would let somebody borrow it for a little while, use it, and give it back. Now, we're not going to do that this year, but in a normal year, we could share glue sticks and things like that. Then we have the word noticed. And it says, this pet rabbit noticed or looked carefully at the carrot held for it to eat. Now, when you notice something, you use one of your 5 senses or all of your 5 senses. You see it, or you hear it, or you smell it, or you taste it, and I'm sticking my tongue out at you, or you feel it, okay? So when you notice something, you can see it, or hear it, or smell it, or taste it, or feel it, or maybe you're doing all of those things at one time. Maybe you can see it and smell it at the same time, and hear it. Like if something, like a fire, you might see the fire, smell the fire, and hear the fire crackling all at the same time, okay? And you might be able to feel it. You could feel the heat coming off of the fire. Right? You're not going to taste the fire, though. No tasting the fire.
I'm not touching.
That's a not yet. No touching the fire. But you could still stand here, away from the fire, and feel the heat from the fire.
What happened to the fire?
Lonnie.
It's like, let me tell you about, like, quiet and notice.
Okay, we're not going to talk about quiet and notice right now because we moved on to other things, okay? You can tell me about them in a little bit. Gwen.
Like a fireplace, like you're not supposed to get too close.
Yes.
And all your hands burn off.
Right. Anything that's hot or has fire, you should not stand too close to on purpose. Jose.
What happens if the fire gets in the house?
We can talk about that another time. Okay? And then we have the word bursting. Look at this crowded basket. It is bursting with puppies. That means it is so full, it's ready to pop, or things are ready to come out of it. Think of a balloon. When a balloon bursts, that means it has so much air in it, the air keeps making it fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller until it just goes pop, okay, and breaks apart, or things come out of it. Lonnie.
When like, who said that person? I had a tank, like a huge tank of the United States in my farm. I filled it so hard. I was working so hard that I made it too full. I don't know what place I was gonna put it.
And did it burst?
Yeah.
Okay, that happens because it got too full, right?
Yeah, because it bursted the corn on me.
There you go.
Bursted the corn all over the city.
Then it got too full. And our last vocabulary word is suddenly. It says a pet parrot might surprise you if it suddenly says a word. Suddenly means it happens without warning. Like if I went, suddenly! That happened without warning. Only I did that yesterday, so you probably weren't too surprised by it. But the first time I did it, it was very sudden. If something is very sudden, it happens, you're not expecting it to happen. It just happens real fast and you have no warning. It just happens. Yes, Gwen.
Suddenly and notice are kind of like the same thing with their meaning.
Kind of a little bit. You can suddenly notice something, but not necessarily. So they're a little bit different. Suddenly just means it just happens. You're not expecting it to happen. Like when a storm comes and all of a sudden you hear boom, thunder. You're not expecting to hear that first boom on you.
I would notice it.
Or maybe you see a bright flash of lightning. It might scare you. Things can happen suddenly, though, and not necessarily scare you. Like, you could go into your house and all of a sudden people could jump out and go, surprise! That could happen suddenly, but that might not scare you.
That could happen on my go.
Okay. All right. Lonnie, question.
Like I have a pet parrot at my house.
And if it talks, then that suddenly surprised you, right? Okay. Go ahead and turn to pages 146 and 147.
I just already did it.
If you're already there, fantastic. We're going to start reading through our story teacher's text. Now, remember, as this loads, this is a realistic fiction story. We have had these kinds of stories already this year. Who can tell me what it means if it is a realistic fiction story? Rosemary, do you have your hand up or are you stretching? Okay. Who can tell me what it means if we have a realistic fiction story? Zayden, you want to give it a try?
I mean, it could happen, yeah, but it's fake and trying to make it funny.
Well, they might be trying to make it funny, but not necessarily. I think you're thinking of humorous fiction. But it could really happen. That's why we see the word real in it. It could happen, but what else can you add to that, Jamie?
Fake.
It is a fake story, right, yes. So it's a fake story that could maybe happen. So, right, we see characters who actually act like real people, or maybe they have names of people that we're familiar with. Like in this story, we know a teacher named Miss Fry, don't we?
Yeah.
But this is a make-believe story, and it's not a story about the Miss Fry that we know. But we have characters who act like real people or might have names of people we know. We have a setting, a story where the story takes place, could be a real place. That story takes place in a school. We have schools. It could really happen. So we have a teacher named Miss Fry in a school, right? That could make it real, even though it's a make-believe story. And events could happen in this story that could be real. Now, there are some things that would happen in this story that aren't going to be real, but there are some things that happen in this story, like there's a parent night where all the parents come into the school. That could really happen. Miss Fry has an end of the school year party with her students. That could really happen. They have a show and tell where they can bring stuff in. That could happen, but not necessarily bringing in animals. But some things could really happen just like in this story. So that's what makes it realistic, even though it's a fake or make-believe story. And remember, our author is Dale Ann Dodds. She's the one that wrote the book, and our illustrator is Marilyn Hafner. Now, why do we have an illustrator for this kind of story? Why don't we have photographs for this kind of story? Angelina? Because it is make-believe, yes. Because it is make-believe. So since it's a made-up story and it's not an informational story or a fact story, they just draw pictures. That makes it more fun. Kaden, do you have something to add?
Well, it looks like our whole entire class.
What does?
The whole picture. It looks like
So the pictures are very similar? Yep, that could be the realistic part. Now, our essential question, what we're thinking about as we read through this story, is how is a school like a community? We're not going to talk about that today, but we will talk about it towards the end of the week. Okay. Good morning, class. My name is Miss Fry. Here we go up on the board. Little boy says, cool. Monday was sharing day in Miss Fry's class. You may bring something special, said Miss Fry. May we share a pet? Winston asked. Yes, said Miss Fry, but just for the day. Okay, now, let me stop right here. Let's talk about an element of the story. We're going to talk about the setting. The setting is where and when a story takes place. So what is the setting in this story? Where does this story take place, Levi?
This story takes place inside a classroom.
Right, inside a classroom or in a school, right? Now, when do you think this story is taking place? When do you think this story is taking place, Jamie? Nice and loud, sweetie. Right, she does say good morning, class. So when do you think it's taking place? At the beginning of school, like at the beginning of the day? Possibly. It could be taking place right in the very beginning of the school day, right? Because she is saying good morning. Could it be a story that could be happening right now?
Yes.
Like today?
Yes.
If it was a real story? Yeah, so the setting of the story is in a school, let's say right now, or during this time, in the morning maybe even, okay? Okay. On Monday, Winston brought in his pet rooster. I call him Red. He eats corn and he crows. The neighbors say he crows too much. What a wonderful pet, said Miss Fry. We're happy he can visit us today. And, of course, you know, Winston has to talk here. He has to say, cock-a-doodle-doo. And then, of course, everybody else has to say, cock-a-doodle-doo. Do you do that? Like, if an animal makes a noise at you, do you make the noise back to them?
Sometimes.
I do that. Like, I can't ever go past cows without going boo when I see them. I don't know why. I do the same thing. I drive past sheep every day. There's sheep on a farm near my house. I drive past the sheep every day. I go bah when I see them. I don't know. Like, I guess I can talk to them that way. I drive past pigs almost every single day on my way home. When I see the pigs, I go, I don't know why. I don't even have the windows down. It's not like they can hear me. I guess I feel like I can talk to them if I do that. I don't know. So if I heard a rooster cock-a-doodle-doo, which I do every single morning because the neighbors across the street have one and they are super loud, then I cock-a-doodle-doo back at it. But I also say some not-so-happy things to that rooster at 4:30 in the morning when he's cock-a-doodle-dooing and it's dark out and I still want to be sleeping. So, okay. So now, the neighbors say that he crows too much. So what do you think Winston's neighbors feel about Red the rooster, Kaden? I'm going to repeat my question. Let's see if you can focus this time. What do you think the neighbors feel about Red the rooster?
Annoyed.
Yeah, maybe a little bit annoyed or irritated by Red the rooster. How do you think Miss Fry feels about Red the rooster? Jake, what do you think?
Happy?
Possibly happy. Does Miss Fry seem to be bothered by Red the Rooster very much? No. In fact, she says, what a wonderful pet. I'm glad he can visit us today.
She likes it.
So she seems to like him, right? Yes, Angelina.
She seems comfortable with the rooster.
Yeah, she does seem comfortable with the rooster, not bothered by him at all. Yes, Alina.
She thinks it's okay for him to stay.
Yeah, she does. But remember, she's thinking right now, even though we've already read the story, she's thinking right now he's only going to stay for today, right? So she's saying, oh, that's great. I'm glad he came to visit us today. Today, right now. Just today. Okay? Okay. But on the next page, we find out that this is where we should be right now, Kaden, not flipping through the book. That afternoon, after all the children had left, there was Red, still sitting on his roost near Miss Fry's desk. She sprinkled corn in Red's dish, then locked the door and went home to her quiet little house. On Tuesday, Winston told Miss Fry, the neighbors wonder if Red can stay at school for a while. Of course, said Miss Fry. How lucky for us. Derek, go ahead and say what's your favorite. So, what does Miss Fry do right before she goes home for the day? Tim, what does she do right before she goes home for the day?
She takes a break.
She does take a break, but what does she do right before she leaves?
She keeps that chicken safe
By doing what?
by keeping
She feeds him a little bit of corn, right? Yeah, so right before she leaves, she notices he's still there. She gives him a little bit of food before she goes. Because she doesn't want him to go hungry overnight, right? What does that show us about Miss Fry? What kind of person do you think she is because of that, Levi?
Wait. I can't hear you.
Okay, that's why I'd like for you to be paying attention up here so that you can hear me when I ask my question. What kind of person is Miss Fry that before she leaves at the end of the day, she gives Red a little bit of corn? What does that say about her? What kind of person is she?
A nice one.
A nice one. Do you think she cares about animals?
Yeah.
Yes. Because if she didn't care, would she bother feeding it? No, she'd just leave. She'd just be like, okay, well, this isn't my pet. I'm just going to go. But she must be a nice person who really cares about animals because she notices he's still there, so she makes sure he has a little bit of food before she goes home for the night. Now, why do you think the neighbors want Red to stay at school? Logan, why do the neighbors want Red to stay at school?
Because he's so loud and annoying.
He is so loud and annoying, yes. And let me tell you, if you haven't heard a rooster crow,
Oh, I did.
they are loud. They are not, it's not a quiet little cock-a-doodle-doo. It is a really loud. I think, and the reason why they do that is because roosters get really irritated. They only crow when they're like irritated or upset about something, like they're hungry or they're cold or they feel like something is trying to get to their food or something like that. That's when they crow like that. So, yes, Alina.
My grandma's a fun house rooster, and when I spend the night there, it is so loud.
It is super loud. Okay. The next Monday was Patrick's turn. My tarantula's name is Vincent. He likes to eat bugs and hide inside my mother's slippers. What a wonderful pet, said Miss Fry.
Yeah.
Don't forget to take Vincent home with you at the end of the day. So, let me ask this question. What do you think Patrick's mom thinks about the tarantula hiding in her slippers?
Not good.
Not good. What do you think, Alina?
She's probably like gonna freak out.
She might be a little scared, right? So think about that. If you went to put your foot inside your slipper and a big old hairy tarantula was in there, woo! The first time it would be really scary, and then I think every time after that I would double check my slippers every single time I put my slippers on. Because that would be really super frightening, right? So I bet you she doesn't like it at all. So she says, great, he's a wonderful pet. What a wonderful pet. Make sure, though, you take him home at the end of the day. But That afternoon, after all the children had left, there was Vincent, still in his jar on Miss Fry's desk. It's a tiny little jar. She gave Vincent a big juicy bug, sprinkled corn on Red's dish, and then locked the door and went home to her quiet little house. Now, I have to ask Miss Fry a question at this point. If Miss Fry were in school together right now, I'd say, Miss Fry, what are you thinking? Like, why are you keeping a rooster and a tarantula in the classroom? I would have to ask her that question. I would have to say, Miss Fry, are you trying to grow a farm in the room? Do you maybe want to be a farm girl instead of a teacher? What's going on? I would stop and ask her that question at this point. But you know what? She probably has a reason. And I bet you know what? What do you think she might say back? If I asked her that, like, why are you keeping all these animals? What kind of answer do you think she might give me? Jose, what do you think? Maybe she would say, I want to have a farm, or have the kids have a farm. It's possible. What do you think, Angelina?
Because it's beautiful Mother Nature.
Oh, because they're beautiful creatures of Mother Nature. That's possible. What do you think, Hayden? No, I think she would have a reason. What do you think, Alina?
Because she loves animals.
Maybe because she loves animals. Or, Gwen, what do you think?
Because I just love animals and I don't. And when we have free time and the children don't know what to do, they can kind of go and look at the animals.
Right, because maybe she wants them to learn about the animals. Because really, how many of you have a pet rooster at home? Yeah, see, none of us can raise our hands, right? How many of us have a pet tarantula at home? Yeah, none of us can raise our hands, right? So those aren't pets that we normally have at home. You might have seen a rooster or seen a tarantula, but I don't think any of us have them as pets at home. So, but that would be a great way for us to learn about those animals if somebody were to bring one into the classroom. Yes, Tim?
I mean, my grandma, in her backyard, she has a lot of chickens and roosters.
Right, and that's a great way to learn it, but in your own house, it's not like you have one in your own house all the time, and I don't either. I don't have them in my house all the time. I think if I did have chickens, the dogs would probably eat them.
Yeah.
We want chickens, but we're afraid that the dogs would eat them. So
Yes,
so we're not getting chickens. But it would be a great way to learn about it. Like when they used to bring in the animals, the petting zoo, they used to bring that into the school and we could pet the different animals. It was a great way to learn about them, right? Okay. On the next page. Oh, it didn't turn. Well, it did turn, but it didn't turn on the screen. Hold on a second. It froze on the screen.
I know, but now.
Let me stop this for a second. I wonder if it